You clicked on the title and you saw the thumbnail, so I'm sure a lot of you users out there are wondering why. Well, it's Joshua Vergara. What's going on, everybody? And I'm here to talk to you about my daily driver. On the daily, I use the BlackBerry KEYone. Now I'm going to get into my reasoning in a little bit. However, if you haven't seen Lon's video about the Galaxy S8 and why that phone is his daily driver, you should definitely check it out. He does a good job of explaining exactly what a daily driver means to him, and I agree mostly with those points. The only other thing I would add to it is that, well, this is the phone that I would actually pay for if I was just a general consumer and not a reviewer. Now, a lot of you out there swear by the Galaxy S8, and the fact that a lot of you even have one is actually part of my first reason: exclusivity. The BlackBerry brand was really easy to find back in the day. You had people using bolds and curves, and everyone was exchanging BBM pins. But back then, much of what BlackBerry was doing actually permeates into today's version of Android. You have end-to-end encryption from device all the way to the BB servers, and you also have BBM send receipts on top of other great messaging features. Now, BlackBerry is a fringe brand. It's not one that you find too often, and you might actually go up to someone and ask them, wow, is that a BlackBerry, when they're using it? And that's actually part of the fun. We always talk about Android being a place where you can personalize and customize the operating system in order to make it more individualistic. Well, I think actually using the BlackBerry KEYone is kind of a sign of who I really am, and it's another level of individualism. And part of the reason why the phone is even head-turning is because of the design. A lot of flagship devices these days go for the glass and metal designs, but since BlackBerry is a fringe product like I mentioned before, they could experiment a little bit more with what their main phones look like. I love what TCL and BlackBerry have done in making the industrious and business-oriented KEYone design. No other device in the mainstream smartphone game quite looks like this, and it manages to be pretty sturdy too. I dropped this KEYone a couple of times in Taipei, and aside from a few scuffs, the phone is working beautifully. But of course, with the design comes the main part of the phone, the physical keyboard. And one of the main facets of having that keyboard is extra input. Now, if you know me from the Android Authority podcast and also from even previous videos, I love the physical keyboard. And I also love when there are extra inputs on phones. The reason why is because it provides a different experience than the full touchscreen. Even just one more button can make all the difference in a phone, but you get more than 26 in the BlackBerry KEYone, and that leads to more than 52 different shortcuts. And I actually rarely use the app drawer or even my docked folders to get to my most used applications. I have C for calendar, K for Google Keep, Y for YouTube, long press Y for Yelp, long press F for Facebook Messenger, I for Instagram, the list goes on. Now, even though the screen is a little bit smaller, the fact that you're doing a lot of the work on the keyboard itself means that you have the entire 4.5-inch screen to look at all the content you want. And that includes scrolling up and down because you can use the keyboard as a swipeable trackpad. It allows you to go through a number of places like Instagram and not have to worry about accidentally liking any photos. Edgar, our fellow Android Authority brother and also a BlackBerry fan, made the point that typing with real keys isn't about typing really fast, it's about typing with confidence. Because you have to physically type the right letters, for the most part, your overall typing accuracy actually goes up. And even though this might be a little bit heady, I actually think that there's a benefit to typing out the words that end up appearing on the screen. There are some studies out there that say that writing in a notebook can be more beneficial than just typing it onto a laptop. And I think that the KEYone keyboard is kind of a happy medium. I'm actually thinking about the letters I'm typing, and thus the notes, the journals, the tasks, the calendar events that I create tend to be a little bit better remembered in my mind. And it's not like you have to sacrifice that much speed in order to type what you want to type. Swiping to the left deletes whole words so that that level of speed is provided on a physical keyboard. I know this all sounds a little bit unbelievable to you guys, but honestly, the BlackBerry KEYone provides everything that I need in my smartphone device. Now, it's not going to have the Snapdragon 835, and yes, I can feel the difference with the Snapdragon 625. But for most applications, I don't really need to have the highest end specifications. There are some times when the phone might get bogged down when I'm watching YouTube videos or playing some games, but for the most part, my main reason why I love this phone is because of the level of productivity. I've been using the BlackBerry as a way to get better at calendaring, jotting notes, responding to emails, and just generally getting things done. Audio in the form of music and podcasts is a big yet secondary need that this phone still fulfills without many problems. And watching YouTube or TV hasn't been a problem despite the smaller screen. Even then, I don't do it so often unless I have no other way of watching. And the same thing goes for the camera. The camera on the BlackBerry KEYone is essentially the Pixel camera, and it does a pretty good job. I know that I have said in the past that the LG G6 would be my smartphone shooter of choice, but as a vlogger type and as someone that actually really enjoys photography, I tend to have a compact camera on me at all times anyway, so I usually have those bases covered. It's all about honing into exactly what kind of user you are, and I think I've done a good job of figuring out what it is I really need, and the BlackBerry KEYone just happens to provide all of that. Specialization is simply underrated these days in the tech world. And for the BlackBerry KEYone, knowing exactly what it is meant for means that the design, the keyboard, and the overall experience are honed in. And if you know me as a reviewer by now, you know that I love it when a piece of tech does just that. And that is why the BlackBerry KEYone is my daily. As always, thank you guys very much for watching, and hope you enjoyed this video of me just kind of recounting why the BlackBerry KEYone is my daily driver. Don't forget to check out our other videos, including the full review of the BlackBerry KEYone, and you can also see all of our other coverage here at Android Authority. Don't forget to follow us on social media as well, and to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because we are your source for all things Android.